Good afternoon, everyone. So the title of my talk today is Entropy Production during Pre-Expansion of an Ideal Gas. So this work is done with Anupam Kundu and Abhishek Dhar in ICTS. So let me first briefly outline the talk. We start by discussing two microscopic definitions of entropy. One is Gibbs entropy and another is Boltzmann entropy. We discuss the intuition idea behind these definitions. Next, we calculate Boltzmann entropy for two choices of macrostates. So choosing macrostate is essential for calculating entropy. So here we choose two types of macrostates. One is Kurzgesellschaft over XV space or configuration space, and another is Kurzgesellschaft over real space. Then we calculate entropy for those macrostates in the non-equilibrium transient state for a single realization. Then we explore typicality and Kurzgesellschaft effect on entropy for both macrostates. So these two technical terms, typicality and Kurzgesellschaft effect, it will be clear when I come to that. And finally, we ask which one is a better candidate to describe entropy production for a single realization of a free expansion of ideal gas. So what happens in real situation when we remove the partition of a half-filled gas? The answer is it spreads over all over the box until it reaches equilibrium, like this image. Here you can see we start at physical 0. The box is half-filled. It is at equilibrium. Now, if we remove this partition, so it will start spreading. It is a typical snap of intermediate time, and at large time it spreads all over the system. And so you do not see the reverse case. That is, we do not see all the gas molecules suddenly at one half of our room, say left half of our room. So we do not see that. So why that is? Why does that happen? Why do not see? So the answer is, I mean, you can answer is the probability of that particular macro state that all the gas particle of our room will be in the left half of the room. The probability is very low. We can estimate that probability roughly. Say we have 1 mole of gas. So there are almost 10 to the power 23 particles. So when the whole room is accessible to each and every particle, then probability of finding a particle in left half is half. Probability of getting another particle to the left half, the second particle, that is also half. So thus, probability of getting all the particles in the left half of the room is 1 by 2 to the power 10 to the power 23, which is very, very low. So that is why we do not see in real time that all the particles in left half of the room. So we need to wait an exponentially large time to observe that. That time may be the lifetime of the universe. So there is an arrow of time in the macroscopic dynamics, or we can say the macroevolution is irreversible to equilibrium. This is true even for time irreversible microscopic dynamics like Hamiltonian dynamics. This irreversible macroscopic evolution is phenomenologically described by Sekar of thermodynamics, which entity T or S thermodynamics, STH, we denote it by STH, also known as this quantity STH increases when the system evolves in time and reaches maximum at equilibrium. So understanding this irreversible macrodynamics from microscopic picture is a subject of interest to the statistical physicists for many decades. So there are two ways to describe this entropy from microscopic point of view. One is Gibbs entropy, which we denote by SG, function of rho X, where rho is the phase space density. And another is Boltzmann entropy, which we denote SB. This is function of the macrostate M. So M macrostate is also a function of the microstate S. Macrostate discusses macroscopically, that is, it ignores all the details of the microscopic picture. Here I schematically describe three microstates. So X1, X2, and X3. These are three microstates. They are different from each other, as you see at least one particle, position of at least one particle is different in each microstate. Microstates are different. Now we define the macrostate by force grading the system. So we take the system in grid 1, 2, 3, 4, and the number of particles in each grid. Ni is number of particles ith grid. So set of these n is the macrostate. We call it M function of X. Note that Mx1 and Mx2 are same, although X2 are not same, because the position has been changed, but the number of particles in it are same. So yeah, and so there may be many microstates corresponding to one macrostate. So there are two formalism. One is Gibbs formalism, another is Boltzmann formalism. So let me describe briefly what is Gibbs formalism. So in Gibbs formalism, one instead of a single system considers an ensemble of identical systems with their macrostates X distributed according to some phase space density rho X. Okay. So Gibbs entropy of an equilibrium ensemble Sg of rho X given by this equation, where Kb is the Boltzmann constant. This entropy well approximates the thermodynamic entropy STH of real experiment performed on a single system reasonably well. Moreover, this Gibbs ensemble theory provides a well-defined and effective method of computing many thermodynamic quantities like average energy, heat capacity, etc. at equilibrium. However, it fails to describe the macroscopic evolution of an isolated system, that is, the irreversibility of the macrodynamics of a single realization. The main problem is that if we write time-dependent Gibbs entropy, Sg as a function of T is equal to Sg function of rho of T, it does not evolve in contrast to the second law of thermodynamics, because rho Tx in this case evolves according to the volume preserving Liouville dynamics. However, Boltzmann formalism can describe the irreversible macroevolution of a single system. So here is the Boltzmann formalism. In this formalism, one tries to understand macrodynamics of a single realization as done in experiment. For an isolated system of n particles, a macrostate is represented by a point in the 6n dimensional phase space gamma E, okay, corresponding to the energy E of the system, which is a constant of motion. Each microstate X corresponds to a macrostate variable M of X. For a given macrostate M, there are many microstates. Those microstates occupy a region gamma M, which is a subset of the whole phase space gamma E. So one can partition the phase space gamma E into several disjoint macro regions gamma M's for a given choice of macro variable M, like this schematic picture, where each small box represents a macro region gamma M for different macrostate M. So this picture is taken from this article, and we will come back to this picture again later. So Boltzmann intuition was to associate a Boltzmann entropy to each microstate X through the macrostate M function of X. This is important because one can write the entropy as a function of microstate in this way. So the entropy SBM can be written as, in this formalism, KB times log of mod gamma M, where KB is the Boltzmann constant and mod of gamma M is the volume of the macro region gamma M. As the system evolves, X becomes X function of T, then M will also be function of time and will evolve, and thus we can write SB, we can write the time-dependent entropy through a time-dependent macrostate as SBT is equal to KB log gamma M of T. Okay. So Boltzmann intuitively argued that if we start from a low density state, then the system evolves in such a way that the Boltzmann entropy typically increases even if the microscopic dynamics is completely time reversible. Okay, so we came to this picture again. The entropy of the initial macrostate SB at t is equal to 0, we say it is SB function of M ini. M initial is the initial macrostate, and we choose it to be low. It is our choice. So low entropy means the volume of this gamma M initial is low. On the other hand, the phase space region, due to the equilibrium macrostate, which is M equilibrium, this is very, very large. How large it is? So for large n, it can be shown that the ratio of this gamma MEQ and the whole phase space is almost 1, with a correction term e to the power minus Cn, where n is the particle number and C is a positive constant. So gamma M equilibrium occupy almost the entire phase space gamma E. So if we make the macrostate dynamics time dependent and say for T2 greater than T1, typically gamma of MT2 is greater than gamma of MT1. So if we start, say, for this box, which represents the initial state, initial macrostate. So if it evolves in time, it will go to larger and larger box, and eventually it goes to this gamma equilibrium and stays there for long time. So as the system stays at the largest equilibrium box most of the time, so at thermodynamic limit, we can say that S thermodynamics is equal to S Boltzmann. So thermodynamic entropy is Boltzmann entropy in the thermodynamic limit. Moreover, the argument of previous slide allows us to extend the definition of entropy in the transient state as this equation. So SB is a function of time here. Okay. So let me summarize what we have discussed so far. So Boltzmann versus Gibbs entropy. So in equilibrium, both the entropies are same. Boltzmann entropy typically increases with time for large system, whereas Gibbs entropy remains constant. Boltzmann entropy can be calculated for a single realization, whereas Gibbs entropy is not defined for a single realization or single system. We need an ensemble of systems to define it. Recently, this topic has been argued in these two references, one by Lebowitz and Goldstein, another is Deepak Dhar, who summarized this paper. And this topic was argued based on some intuitive idea. So in this work, we are going to test those ideas in a particular microscopic model of hard particle gas, numerically and analytically. So here is the microscopic model. So we consider n number of hard point particles in one-dimensional box of size L with reflecting boundary. So the particles interact via perfectly elastic collisions which conserves energy and momentum. So due to perfectly elastic collision and as the particles are hard point, so they cannot cross each other. So the Hamiltonian of the system include only the kinetic terms and is given by this equation, sum over p square by 2m. Now we consider masses of all the particles are same. So this makes the system effectively non-interacting because when the masses are same during the perfectly elastic collision, actually the velocity is interchanged, and if we interchange the tag of the particle, they will be penetrating each other during collision. So it will make the system effectively non-interacting. So all particles are initially in the left half of the system distributed uniformly, and initial velocities are drawn from Maxwell distribution. So let me show you a movie for the system. So I am leaving the presentation.
Now it's come.
Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, we started initially all the particles were in the left half of the box, and they started spreading, and you can see due to reflecting boundary, they're coming back from this side. And you can see, notice that when they are colliding, they actually going through each other as they are equal mass. Okay, so finally they are spreading all over the box. So this is for particle number 100 in a system of size 200. Okay. So.
And elastic collisions only?
Yeah, perfectly elastic. As they are equal mass, so they are actually seeing each other.
Yeah.
Effectively. So yeah. So choice of macro state through coarse graining is necessary to define entropy. We choose two types of macro state, MX, for this system. So in the choice one of macro state, we consider the XV space, which is also known as mu space or configuration space. So a microstate is defined there by set of positions and momentum of all the particles. That is a microstate. Now we divide this XV space into many cells of size delta is equal to delta x times delta v. As I demonstrate in this picture, you can see two microstates. One is at t is equal to 0, another is at large time. So at t is equal to 0, all the particles are in the left half. So the position of the particles are restricted. So this picture is a bit misleading because these points are coming to be particle. They are not particle. They are point in the configuration space. So
Vidip, sorry, quick question. Maybe I missed it and you said. So in the initial condition, how do you determine the velocities of the 100 particles?
they are drawn from Maxwell distribution.
Okay.
Canonical distribution.
Okay, thank you.
So, so all the particles are in the left half. So you can get velocity, all type of velocities, but the position are restricted to the left half. So finally at long time, we can see particles all over the configuration space. Now, if we grid the system or divide the system in several grids of size delta x times delta v and count the number of particles at alpha grid, which is n alpha, and divide it by total particle number and the grid size. Then we get a quantity called f alpha, which is known as single particle distribution function. So this f alpha or set of f alpha is the macro state. Because we are missing the information, detailed information of the particle, we are only considering the number of particles in each grid. So this is a macro state. And you can notice that if you do sum over this and multiply this n here, so you will get this normalization. So sum over f alpha delta over alpha is 1. Okay.
So I have a question. I mean, how do you choose this discretization, delta x, delta p, the values of those quantities?
So that I will demonstrate when I will show the plots.
Mm-hmm.
So in this choice of macro state, the set f alpha specifies our macro state. Okay. So m as a function of t is set of f alpha. And when n goes to infinity and delta goes to 0, it will be a smooth function, which we call empirical distribution, FEM, function of x, v, and t. And mathematically, we can write it as 1 by n, this summation. Two delta function are there. So this quantity is measured over a single realization in n tends to infinity limit. There is another distribution, which is called marginal distribution, which is measured by averaging over initial microscopic configuration chosen from a phase space distribution rho t at 0. Rho t is equal to 0. So then we get the marginal distribution, which is with extra addition of this average quantity over initial condition. So
I have one quick question. And yes. The first thing that you're doing, so when delta is the grid size, right?
Yes, yes.
So if the grid size is going to 0, wouldn't this become the microstate?
No. It is still, you are missing something. So if you have large number of particles,
yeah,
each delta or each grid contains reasonably, well number of particles, statistically reasonable number of particles.
So you're basically saying that there is some sort of, you're taking some kind of scaling limit as n goes to infinity and delta goes to 0. Is that the idea?
Yeah, that is limit. Obviously, obviously is scaling limit. That is large n limit. It is statistical limit, or you can say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you take delta tends to 0, but you are also taking n tends to infinity, so you have sufficient number of particles in each delta. So you will be
right. What I'm worried about is whether there exists a good limit of this kind. That's, I'm sure it, or more precisely, is there a unique choice or?
Actually, you can actually you can see the effect of this delta in the plot in the next slide. You will see. next or next.
Yeah, okay.
It will be clear then. What is the effect of the coarse graining? So in our system, this empirical, that is single realization quantity, and the marginal or average quantity in the large n limit, they are same. So we test this. This is called typicality, and we test this in the next slide. So here we check the typicality in the single particle distribution function. So you can see this is, so this axis is F, this x-axis is position, and this y-axis is velocity. Okay, so this is initial state. That is why, so this part is not accessible. There is no particle here, but the velocities are chosen from Maxwell distribution. So you are getting a Gaussian distribution of the velocity. Now, if you leave it to evolve, it will go, and finally, it will again go to a Gaussian distribution or Maxwell distribution. But now the particles are spread over all the box. Okay, here we consider 2F, and one is single realization, which is the blue one. And you cannot see, there is another red one, which is ensemble average. So for single realization, we take large number of particles, n is equal to 10 to the power 8. But for ensemble average, we consider n less, but we average over large number of realizations, 2 into 10 to the power 5. And our system size is 4, L is equal to 4. And the grid size delta is at 0.5 times 0.5. Delta X is 0.5, delta V is also 0.5. So you can see, you cannot see the red line, because F, small f and capital F, empirical and marginal, both are same in this limit. Okay.
So Shubhadeep, sorry, just a similar question to what Chandan was asking,
Yes.
and that's coming back to that. So I mean, for example, here, what's the dependence on dx in your resolution? So in these simulation units, your particle is 1 and dx is 0.5, is that?
Sorry, what?
Your particle size is 1 and dx is 0.5, is that?
No, particles are point particle. Particle size is 0 actually.
Particle size is 0, but
dx is 0.5.
Right. So now if I change dx,
Yeah,
to make it smaller or larger, do
yes.
things change numerically?
Yeah, they will change, and the effect will be visible in this plot. Here we plotted dx and I mean for different, actually fixed.
Oh, yeah, that's the plot. Yeah. Okay, you're coming to this later then.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
sorry. I thought, yeah, okay, thanks. Sorry.
Yeah, I will come to this.
Sorry.
So before that, let me define the Boltzmann entropy due to this choice 1 of macro state. So we defined by using Boltzmann formula of H function, which Boltzmann introduced to define a monotonically increasing function to explain the time irreversibility of macroevolution of a dilute gas. So if we consider empirical distribution F, small f, as the macro state, then we measure the Boltzmann entropy as this equation. Similarly, we can define a entropy for the marginal distribution also, which is called SBF. Okay. So clearly SBF is the Gibbs entropy function of this marginal distribution. So if you put F instead of that phase space density rho, it will give a Gibbs entropy. So clearly at n tends to infinity limit, we have already seen small f and capital F are same. So we expect SBF and SB capital F will also be same. Okay. So we analytically calculate this capital F. So this capital F is nothing but the average over that delta functions. So our system is particles are effectively non-interacting, but they will collide with the boundary. Okay. So collision with two boundary are taken care in these two terms. This GV0 is the initial distribution of velocity. This GV0 is the Maxwell distribution. And Px0 is the initial distribution of the position of the particle. So finally, we get this expression for this capital F marginal distribution function. So we use this marginal distribution F to analytically calculate Boltzmann entropy for this marginal case. So here we plot the entropy as a function of time. Okay, in x-axis it is time, and it is y-axis is entropy, Boltzmann entropy. So here line is the analytically calculated SB capital F, that is marginal, and the points are calculated for this set. Okay, so for large number of particles, these points are calculated for single realization. So the single here also you can see the empirical and marginal value of this entropy agree, and we further change the delta or grid size. So we keep delta x fixed and change the grid size. So you can see that if we go to the lower grid size, the evolution becomes flatter and flatter, and in the limit of delta tends to 0, we expect that it will be constant in time. Okay. And you also note that the increment is not monotonous. There is an oscillation.
So let me ask the same question that I asked earlier. Sorry. Yeah. So does it matter at all that you're sending your number of particles to infinity at a faster rate than, let's say, you're making your grid size smaller?
Sorry, I cannot get the question.
I'm saying that does it matter at all the limit that you're finding here? Does it matter at all?
The order of the limits. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not quite just the order of the limits, also like how fast you're sending. How fast you're sending the number of particles to infinity while you're sending the grid size to 0. So does it matter, or like I'm saying that are you holding, let's say, n times delta to be fixed in taking the limit or something like that? I'm trying to understand how are you sending these things to infinity? That's the only thing. Yeah.
Sorry.
I think in this case, it probably if you keep n fixed and take the limit delta v going to 0, you still get this flattening.
I see. Okay.
Right. Yeah. But for interacting systems, it might be different.
I see. So here so the only thing that you, as you said, is changing is basically the name of the particle. So otherwise it's free propagation. That's the idea.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, we also demonstrate the same thing completely numerically, where we numerically calculate this entropy for both single realization. These CT plots are for single realization, and this is for ensemble average or marginal case. So again, this is for different gridding size. We kept dx at fixed at 0.5, and we see that this marginal and empirical thing agree. Now,
so what is the temperature? Temperature is 1 here. I mean, when you look at Boltzmann distribution for the velocities.
Yeah, the temperature.
Temperature is 1. I mean,
not 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah, for the same like the previous plot.
Okay.
So in the second choice of macro state, we consider real space, that is X space, and we divide it into K cells of size L is equal to capital L by K. Capital L is the system size, like this picture. And again, for a given microstate X, let N alpha, P alpha, E alpha be the number of particles, total momentum, and total energy at alpha cell. Then, in this case, the macrostate is defined by this set of conserved quantities N alpha, P alpha, and E alpha. This specifies our macrostate. Okay. So the corresponding Boltzmann entropy is given by this. So we denoted this macrostate as U. So we denote this type of Boltzmann entropy as SBU, which is a function of microstate, and it can be measured by summing up all the grid. So LS is the entropy for a particular alpha cell. Okay. So small s is the entropy per unit length. Rho alpha is the particle density N alpha by L, and small l is the grid size here. And epsilon alpha is internal energy density, which is the total energy density minus the kinetic energy density. Where P alpha is the momentum density, which is capital P alpha, total momentum by L, and E alpha is the energy density, capital E alpha by L. So entropy of alpha cell L times S is given by Kb log volume of that macrostate U alpha. So for large N alpha, we can measure actually this quantity volume of this macro region in the phase space by integrating over xi's and vi's, all position and velocity, with the constant that local energy and momentum is conserved. Okay, so for large N alpha, it can be shown that small s is given by this equation. So all we need to know is three fields, rho, P, and E, to obtain finally this entropy for this choice of macrostate, SBU. Okay, so we define three fields, density, momentum, and energy by this. So you can see this F empirical contains two delta function. One is for position and another is velocity. So if we integrate it over velocity, we will get only the delta function for the position, which give you the density field. Similarly, if we multiply by V and then integrate over V, we will get momentum, and similarly we get the energy field. We already know that at large N limit, the empirical F is equal to marginal capital F, and thus corresponding ensemble average fields are rho bar, P bar, and E bar. So we calculate these average fields analytically using the analytical expression of capital F. Okay, so I show you one field. This is energy field. It looks bad, and density and momentum field also look equally bad, but they agree well with our simulation result. So here we plot three fields. Okay, again the points are the empirical simulation result, and lines are the analytical and marginal result. Okay, so we start from half field condition. So the initial density profile is like a step function, then it evolves, and finally at large time becomes flat. Same for momentum and energy. At large time they become flat. So initial momentum profile is also flat. Okay, so the simulation was done for system size 1000, temperature 5, number of particles 10 to the power 8, and the subsystem size or the grid size L is equal to 10. Okay, we will use these three fields to calculate entropy. Before going to that, I want to show you another result. We did the similar calculation for an isolated system. In earlier plot, this plot was calculated for where the initial distribution was drawn from a canonical distribution. But throughout the talk, we was talking about single realization and isolated systems. So we tried to show the same thing for an isolated system where the initial configuration is drawn from a constant energy hypersurface. So, and another benefit is there. So all three, so we plotted three different initial condition. Initial condition 1, 2, and 3. So if for each initial condition, at large time, the system reaches equilibrium and they agree well with each other. That means all the calculations are for empirical value. Okay. So finally, we calculated Boltzmann entropy as defined in this slide. So we used density, momentum, and energy field in this equation. We use this equation here, and we calculated this entropy, and we plot it here for different subsystem size or grid size. Okay, so here is the entropy with time. So you can notice that as the grid size decreases, they actually converges, unlike the earlier expression of earlier definition of that entropy. So here also the lines are calculated analytically for marginal distribution and the points are calculated from simulation for empirical distribution. Okay. It is also increasing with time and monotonically increasing with time. Okay. And finally it saturates as it reaches equilibrium. So here we're going to study the entropy production from the hydrodynamic equations. So in many literatures, we found that Euler equations, these three equations are called Euler equations. They described this type of hard particle gas or ideal gas in the hydrodynamic level. So we consider these three equations as the hydrodynamic equation of our system. Okay, where these three fields we know, the extra term is the capital P, which is pressure. So we calculate pressure, or we can express this pressure field, as a function of these known three fields, rho, V, and E, using an ideal gas equation of state given by P is equal to rho T, where T is the temperature field. So the temperature field also can be written as a function of those three conserved fields, okay, by calculating the velocity fluctuation. So here is the expression for the temperature field. So now we use this thermodynamic relation and we put all the fields, expression of these fields here, and you can see that the derivative of the entropy is 0. The time derivative of entropy is 0. But we are getting the del SBU del dSBU dt greater than equal to 0 in the last plot. Okay, we see this is increasing, but hydrodynamics says it is 0. So where is the problem? So we tried to verify these three equations numerically. So you numerically calculate rho, V, everything, and we take time derivative and space derivative and compare them. and we found that these two equations are right, but the third equation is not correct. Okay, so there is an additional term we call Wxt in the third equation. So actually we got the energy equation like this, the gradient of this quantity. This is also a conserved quantity in this system, as our system is of equal mass. So that is integrable system, and we have n number of conserved quantities for n particles. Okay, so m v to the power n average, this is also a conserved quantity for this system. So we found this current to be the correct current for the energy equation. So this current minus this Euler current gives us the extra term W. Okay. Now, if we repeat the previous calculation here, we will see that del SBU dSBU dt is equal to given by this quantity, this integral W by T integration over X. Now, we measure this left-hand side from definition, and we measure this right-hand side from hydrodynamics and compare them. And we see this line is from definition and the point is from the hydrodynamic. Okay, and they agree totally. So this extra W term is responsible for the entropy production in this second kind of macroscopic state, in the second definition of entropy. Okay, so let me summarize the work by asking why SBU is a good candidate to define entropy while in the free expansion of an ideal gas or a single system. So there are several reasons behind it. The first reason is it can be defined for a single realization, unlike the Gibbs entropy, for which we need ensemble of identical system. And this entropy SBU increases with time in transient state, unlike the Gibbs entropy, which is constant with time. It converges with finer grid, unlike SB small f, the earlier definition. Okay, it consistent with hydrodynamics and equation of state, and it also satisfies thermodynamic relation like this. So we say SBU is a good candidate to define entropy in the free expansion of an ideal gas. So as it is my postdoc evaluation work, so I should discuss what else I have done in last 1.5 years. So we have studied shock propagation in the one-dimensional hard particle gas. This work is done with Santosh and Abhishek, and I will present this work on 22nd October this month with Santosh. And in this work, we actually looked at the shock propagation in hard particle gas, and we found the scaling function of all three fields, rho, V, and temperature. And this is alternate. In this case, we used alternate mass case, and unlike this one, where we use equal mass case. In the second work, I have done with Tanmoy, Orgho, Punnobroto, and in this work, we studied a lattice model of active matter, and we analytically derived hydrodynamics and identified two transport coefficients which are density dependent. The transport coefficients are diffusivity and conductivity. And we also see a phase transition depending on density and activity, which can be captured by the divergence of the conductivity, not the diffusivity, unlike the phase transition or condensation transition in the equilibrium system. Okay, and also we see the ratio of two transport coefficients satisfy an an Einstein relation. Okay, so the ratio of the two transport coefficient is equal to the subsystem particle number fluctuation. We found that in spite of being a non-equilibrium system. In the second case, we model a Raman-Damber particle in a one-dimensional lattice and calculate the similar thing. We derive hydrodynamics and calculate two transport coefficients analytically, and the simulation result agree with the analytical result. But in this case, we do not find an Einstein relation. In this fourth work, we study again the similar thing, hydrodynamics and transport coefficients for generalized mass aggregation model. And in this case, we find that the Einstein relation exists. Okay. And similarity between last three work is all are gradient type of system, where the diffusive current can be written as a derivative or gradient of local observable. Okay. Here is a future plan. So we studied in this work, we studied entropy production for equal mass case, and it would be interesting to study similar thing for alternate mass case. An alternate mass case is a non-integrable system where there are only three conserved quantity: density, momentum, and energy. And in the second work, we have a plan to study propagation of perturbation in classical Hamiltonian systems like harmonic oscillator, Toda chain, FPU chain. And we study there two kind of probes. One is a linear response theory and a classical analog of the quantum OTOC. So we try to study the effect of this perturbation using these two probes. And thank you for your attention.
Yeah, any questions?
I'll ask. So I got a little confused by some of the notation. Sorry, I'm really basic question. So do you have a conclusion about? So you consider two kinds of definitions of macro states, right?
Yeah.
So, and which of them is better, the one over just the spatial thing, or on the phase space?
Which one is?
Which one is better?
Better to describe single realization.
Yeah.
So this one, the SBU is the better.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. I got confused. Which one was the notation? That's what I was asking, actually.
Okay, okay. Yeah, from this title, say SBU is a good candidate. So here is the reason why.
No. I mean, I'm asking what I forgot. What was the definition of SBU? That was
okay. That is.
I think the spatial. From what I thought, it was just coarse graining over not coarse graining. I mean, taking a macro state defined just on space was good enough.
Yeah. That space is a better candidate. Yeah, okay. You're right.
Okay. So and also just so in the case of Euler equation, once you do coarse graining, you wouldn't expect it to not to give you ds by dt equal to 0 anyway, right? So I don't think there is any real problem in that sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Euler equation, there is no entropy production.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you.
So I mean, I guess you have not. I mean, this is one of the things that you plan to do. But let's say, I mean, here, if I look at the particles, sort of like ideal particles, so the 2-point correlation function.
Yes.
Will be basically flat, right? There is no distance dependence of that.
Yes.
I mean, if I look at the probability of given a particle at origin, what is the probability of finding another particle at distance r?
Yes.
That probability doesn't depend on r.
Yes.
Now, if you have, let's say, hardcore or some interaction, whatever, where the 2-point function has spatial dependence.
Yes.
That defines a length scale.
Yes.
So, I mean, then one of the things that I would like to understand is that how your spatial discretization would compare with that length scale to get the right result. In the sense that, here it seems that the spatial discretization scale doesn't really matter that much. Eventually, at small time there is some effect, and then at longer times it all goes to the same thing.
Yeah. So in that, you need to go to that limit that the subsystem or the grid size must be much larger than the correlation length, but will be much smaller than the actual system size. We need to, maintain that condition.
I see.
Yeah, I think so.
So Chandan, you are asking about like if we had hard rods instead of point particles.
Hard rods or something like that, where let's say there is a this 2-point function goes to 0, less than a certain distance, and then there are oscillations and things like that. So there is a length scale associated with this.
Right. Yeah.
So my question was how your discretization scale. Then I think how your discretization scale compares with that length scale, that will make a difference.
I think you have to take this GAD limit as you do usually in such dilute gas, interacting dilute gas. It's like n times sigma square is equal to constant, while n goes to infinity and sigma goes to 0, where sigma is the size of the interaction.
Okay.
So in simulations, it's probably a bit difficult. So one can take an equivalent limit, which is n times rho square to be constant. So you can take rho going to 0 and n goes to infinity in that way. Probably that limit is called GAD limit in the literature.
I see.
But yeah, if you have interaction, it will in that limit the entropy production curve will converge to a increasing curve. It will not become flat.
Okay. But then, your sigma has to, your spatial discretization scale, then how will that has to be adjusted relative to sigma?
That I am not sure, but the sigma is actually the smallest scale, length scale that we have in the problem. So that we have not about it.
Delta X has to be much bigger than sigma or something like that. That's what I think Shubha Brother said.
Yeah, but I think you can take the delta X to be very of the few orders of sigma, but you have to increase n so that this limit is satisfied.
Okay, so this is something that it comes up when you want to write down some dynamics for the density variable using some density functional theory or something like that. Where again, you're defining the rho variable, but the question is at what scale you are defining the rho variable.
Okay.
Because there is a non-trivial 2-point function, and those scales are important. That whether you are looking at distances which are much bigger than sigma or smaller than sigma, that becomes important.
Right, yeah. So, to me, what Shubhadeep said sounds reasonable, but I'm not completely. Like it should be at least larger compared to the correlation length. Of course, in one dimension, it will typically be short, right? So, so then you don't need really large.
Right.
But this correlation length scale will also be some few orders of this microscopic length scale, no?
Right. Yeah, not orders of, but a few times.
Few times, like.
Few times, yeah.
So is anybody, done this, or you plan to do this, or what?
Yeah, probably we should do it, and we
plan to actually.
Analytically, it is very difficult. It would be difficult to do, I suppose.
Yeah, although, but using alternate masses, probably one can try to do this.
But there again, I think there's no correlation length, right? For the alternate mass case, it's non-integrable, but it's still like the equilibrium physics is completely same as equal mass.
I agree with the equation of state also.
Yeah, so they have the same equilibrium, but it's non-integrable. So then there are some differences, but it's. But for the hard rod, I mean, I think there are some analytic calculations.
Yeah, the equilibrium you can do analytic work.
Right, yeah. So even non-equilibrium, using this generalized hydrodynamics, there are some recent calculations by Spohn and all. And there I think, but I don't know how they deal with this particular question. I thought they somehow just assume you can take.
No, they add by hand this dissipation terms into the.
No, by hand means it comes automatically.
Yeah,
but in the hydrodynamic equations.
But they don't say how do they compute.
Yeah, they don't prove it, right? Yeah, it seems it comes, right? Yeah. But no, I'm asking like how do they take this limit?
Yeah, those are also not very clearly stated.
Not very clear, right? Yeah. Okay, any other questions?
I'll just ask one more general question. So do you expect that this, so in some sense, this is kind of trying to define what true macro state is. That's, I think, that's in some sense a very useful thing that can come out of this, right? Is that a fair thing to say? One of the things.
Okay, I mean, one is just to like, I mean, what is a good macro state which will give us this arrow of time?
Yeah. So, and so, because I think that is always kind of like a diffusely defined thing, what exactly is a macro state. So,
right. Yeah.
And so, and my question is, so would you say that this is kind of evidence that some sort of spatial spatial coarse graining is the good way to look at it? Would you say that? Just based on this, or
if you do spatial coarse graining only, so that means you have already coarse grained only over the all velocity variables. So definitely it will always give you increasing entropy. So that's a very that will serve as a good candidate for macroscopic variables, which will behave like as it would behave in thermodynamics.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, but if you want to do a little bit more better, finer coarse graining description, which is like the empirical distribution of the Boltzmann's F function, there in this particular model, of course, that is this does not give you entropy increasing because there is no interaction. But if you have interaction and you are in the dilute limit, that is also a very good macro state. It's not that it's not a very good macro state. That's actually perfectly very good macro state. But this is a pathological model because you do not have any interaction. If you have slight interaction, although if you have slight interaction, which is short range, but if you are in the dilute limit, you actually ignore the interaction energy in the system because your kinetic energy term is so large that you ignore them and you can still do thermodynamics and everything, even in the transient state. And there, the definition of Boltzmann F entropy with F function, which is same as the original definition that Subodh showed, which is log of gamma of m. Instead of m, you can put f, and then you can show that in definition this log becomes integral dx dv f log f. So that definition works perfectly well if you have dilute gas. But of course, if you have dense gas in an interacting system, then that original definition does not become integral f log f. It becomes something else.
So just one more question. I mean, so when you are doing coarse graining in space, then you are taking all momenta in the same box, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, when you are doing the coarse graining in momentum, then you are taking all x in the same box.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But if you have some delta x and delta p, how does it work?
No, but in the first case he described, there was a delta x and a delta v.
I see.
That was there.
So you didn't take all x. I mean, just all the particles.
Right. Yeah. That is the usual definition of H function, right?
So the reason why I was asking was actually because of that. Because in the first case, this seems to me somehow the phase space natural in some sense, but at the same time, you find that it works better when you just take the spatial slots. So
yeah,
is there some understand that
that will always work better because you already have made a coarse graining over some variable.
Right, yeah.
Some variable, yeah.
So so because the momentum slots are already somehow done. So yeah.
But these macro states also works better. Works perfectly well at the same level for generic models where you have interactions.
Yeah. So so the statement that you're making, so to extract a punchline, as an outsider. So the point is that in this particular model, that there is interactions are somehow in some sense, trivial in some way. So the phase space coarse grading is slightly worse than the space coarse grading. That's the punchline.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. Yeah. But when you do thermodynamics, you actually do not need F. You need only the energy density, momentum density, and that's what you do when you do experimentally do thermodynamics. And if you define those variables as your macrostate variables, then you can define entropy. And even in such a pathological model, you can describe this entropy increase. This is the kind of point that I think Subhadeep was trying to make.
I see. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, actually, one other comment is in in this model, in this picture, if you take delta x, delta v going to zero limit, it's almost like for the non-interacting system, you are actually kind of recovering the microscopic description.
Yeah, that was part of one of my questions.
Right. Yeah, I think that was one of my questions. So that in that sense, but this is not true for interacting systems, weakly interacting gases, because of this large n limit and all that.
Okay.
So there's some subtle point, and yeah.
So you agree with this thing that Deepak Dhar had sent around, which also journal of that the Boltzmann measure is the right one to look at when you look at time dependence.
Yeah. We tested this for a particular model. We agree.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot. Very nice.